Okay, so reciprocal functions. So this is the thing we weren't just looking at. This is the 1 over sine x, not sine to the minus 1 of x. I know it's confusing and a little annoying. These buttons don't exist on your calculator, unfortunately. Now, these have got special names, and this is called cosec x. This one is sec x, and the last one is cot x. Okay, now obviously the tan one's kind of obviously it's got a t in it. The other two are really annoying and they're really confusing, and people suggest that you look at the third letter of the word and you can see that it relates to which of the original trig functions. None of that's ideal, but cosec hits sine, sec is 1 over cos, and cot is 1 over tan. Okay, so that's the way to remember these. Now, what I'm going to want you to do just for the second part of today's lesson, which is just looking at these three functions, which are different to what we just looked at, is I want you to plot these. You can either use Desmos again, or you can use you can draw them out for yourself. So we're going to start by drawing sine x here. Okay, and this could go really well, or it could go really badly. And we're going to use an intelligent thought process about how this, what the reciprocal function looks like. Now, reciprocal function means that you take whatever y value is here and you divide it, and you divide 1 by it. Okay, so I'm going to start with this point here because that's really, really easy to do. If I divide 1 by 1, weirdly, I just get 1. Okay, if I now go to the next point here, this is where the y value is 0, so it'd be 1 over 0. Well, that doesn't compute, so that becomes an asymptote way up out here. Okay, the same is true here. So here and here, I've got an asymptote. Now, between here and here, okay, I've got values smaller than 1. So 1 divided by a number smaller than 1 is a big number. Okay, and right down here, it becomes very big. So in other words, this bit of the graph will do this, right off to an asymptote up there, and this does the same going off like this, okay, right off up into the sky, and it keeps going. At this point here, you don't have a value for cosec x because it doesn't exist, okay? Now, the next part, here, I'm at -1, really badly drawn, not to scale. You might decide to use Desmos here. And here, we're back at 0 again, so I'm going to end up with another asymptote, okay? So, what does 1 divided by -1, weirdly, is also -1, so that point doesn't move. And here, I'm dividing by really small negative values. So it's going to look the same as this, except getting really, really, really negative. So actually, this graph now looks like this. I've done that bit badly, a little bit of a kink in it, okay? So, what I want you to do for the second part of today's lesson is to make some notes about this, the reciprocal function, and to sketch these 3 graphs in your book. What I'd like you to do is to try and do it manually first. Think about it. Think about what the graphs look like. The tricky one is tan. Draw tan first, and then think about what that's then going to look like. If you don't want to use Desmos to do yourself a nice version of those graphs, then great. I'm not going to set you extra work on this because that'll probably be enough to do with what I set you on the inverse functions. Thursday's lesson, we're going to carry on looking at reciprocal functions, and we'll move on from there.